Hi there. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create this cabin in forest landscape in Blender. This is Yeho Studios, and without further ado, let's get into it. As a 3D artist, we must understand that reference is a very useful tool in creating artworks. Reference helps us structure a scene in 3D and shows us where to place essential key elements in a scene. To get some reference, it's simple. Just search online for whatever you intend to make, and the internet has lots of great examples to work with. Some websites where you can get reference images are Google, Pinterest, and Pexels. What are your favorite resources for finding references when creating 3D scenes? Share your findings in the comments. Before we start, here are some tools and assets which I use in creating this scene, and which will help make your work easier. 1. A model of a cabin. In this scene, the cabin model which I used was one that I created a while ago. It comes with its own textures which you can customize to your liking. You can get this cabin model on my Gumroad page. The link is in the description. 2. The Free Plants Library. This asset pack is very useful as it has a lot of nature assets we can use. From twigs, plants, to even bushes, the Free Plants Library has it all. 3. Openscatter. This is a very powerful scattering tool made available for Blender users for free. To install Openscatter, after downloading the zip file, open Blender, select Edit, then Preferences. Then select Add-ons. Click on the down pointing arrow at the top right corner of the screen and select Install from Disk. Now locate the zip file and let's click on the Install from Disk button. 4. Maxtree. Maxtree has a free asset pack which we can use in our scene. It also has everything from grass models to tree models which are of high resolution. 5. An accurate human size model. This is essential in our scene as this helps us get a sense of scale in our scene. To start working on this scene, let us first import a cabin model. You can easily do this by locating the blend file for the cabin model and dragging and dropping it on the active Blender scene. Then select Append, then Collection, and select the farm_house collection and click on Append. We can then add a plane onto our scene and scale it up. Don't forget to apply the scale to the plane once you are done doing so. We can then adjust our camera's viewpoint so that you know how we want the scene to look like. You can also adjust the camera's focal length and enable the text composition guide. This helps us in arranging key elements in a scene, which in this case will be a cabin model. You can then subdivide the plane a few times to get some more geometry onto our plane. We can now set up our render settings and work on our lighting. For lighting in Blender, I usually use Blender Sky Texture. This node is powerful in not just creating realistic lighting, but also customizing it to your preference. To texture our ground, you can simply drag and drop any texture that the Free Plants library gives us onto our plane. To help give us a sense of scale in our scene, we can drag and drop our accurate sized human being model into our scene. In this scene, we would want to create a path leading to the house. This helps our eyes get some empty room to look at when we look at our scene, and it will also make sense since people must have a way of entering this cabin of ours. To do this, make sure the plane is selected and go to sculpt mode. We can then select the mask brush and using a human being model as a reference, draw a path from the house to somewhere off camera. We can now invert our mask by pressing Ctrl, then I, and with the mesh filter brush selected, drag sidewards to bring the now unmasked part of the mesh downwards to create a deformation in the plane where we can now see our path. After creating the path, we would also need to weight paint our path. To do this, create a new vertex group in the object data properties of our plane. You can now paint along the path that was created. If you struggle to see the path since the entire mesh is now blue, in weight paint mode, select the weight paint overlays option at the top and bring down the opacity. You should now be able to see clearly to weight paint along the path. Let's create some deformations in our mesh, since we don't want it to be perfectly flat. To do this, let's go to Object Mode and making sure our plane is selected, add a Displace modifier to the plane. Next, select the vertex group that we created for the path and invert it, so that the whole mesh is being deformed except the path that has been created. Now you can tweak the settings of the texture to your desired liking by adjusting the size and depth of the texture to add in more detail. To add in even more deformations, you can also add another Displace modifier, but this one will affect only the path, so there is no need to invert it. Feel free to also tweak the settings of this texture tool as well. Let us now add some more detail into our scene by adding some vegetation. To do this, let us start scattering some plant assets. Create a new scatter layer by going to the Openscatter tab on our sidebar and select our plane as an emitter. Then create a new scatter layer. This way, we can add more plants in the form of layers. This helps us organize our work the more. To scatter assets in a layer, just simply go to the free plant library in the asset browser, and once you have selected your desired plant model, just drag and drop them onto your scene into a separate collection. Next, go to the Openscatter tab. You can then rename the layer. Let us define a path so that we can tell Openscatter where we want the plants to appear and where they shouldn't appear. To do this, add a path curve into the scene. Go to Edit mode and delete all the vertices. Then select the Draw option. Make sure it is set to Surface, not Cursor, and draw a curve along the path we just created. You can then edit the path after drawing. Under Instances, select multiple instances and then select the collection in which your plant models are. Remember to enable camera calling on all your plant models. This helps to increase viewport performance. To scatter assets away from the path, go to Proximity, then enable Curve Proximity and select the curve for the path we created. You can then play with the distance and the smooth transition values. Changing the scatter behavior from avoid to seek will scatter assets from the path based on the distance value. Now feel free to add more scatter layers onto the scene. When it comes to scattering, here are some tips that help us achieve realistic results easily. 1. Texture masks. When it comes to plants in real life, they don't grow all over the place. They grow in groups. To replicate this effect in Blender, just make use of the texture mask option in Openscatter. To do this, under Texture Masks, enable the noise option and play around with the scale and the fall-off value. Two, vertex groups. To help avoid plants passing through a cabin, what you can do is create a vertex group and paint where a cabin is. Then in the Openscatter tab, under Calling, enable the vertex group option and select the vertex group for the cabin and invert it. Three, gradual fall-off. When scattering plants, always use a gradual fall-off. What do I mean? What I mean is scatter the small assets that are nearest to the path first, then gradually go on to the much larger assets as we go further into the scene. This helps our scene look more realistic. Four, lights and shadows. When it comes to lighting, don't be afraid of shadows in your scene. Just make sure there's a good balance of light and shadows in your scene. This helps bring out the beauty in it. When it comes to scattering trees, it is advisable not to use camera culling on them since they help provide shadows to your scene, which is important. To help add depth into your scene, you can do so by adding a plane onto a scene, scaling it up and applying its scale, then bring it behind a foreground and scatter trees on it. Volumetrics help us add some atmosphere in our scene and help in adding God rays in our scene. To add volumetrics, add a cube into the scene, scale it up to cover the entire scene, set the viewport display to bounce, and add a custom volumetric shader onto the cube. If you don't have such a shader, just remove the principled BSDF from the cube shading and add a principled volume connected to the volume output and play with the density and anisotropy values. You can now play around with your lighting to get different looks. This is how to create this cabin in a forest scene in Blender. Thank you for watching this video. If you learned something from this video or enjoyed it, please like this video. Take your time to share this video to anyone who may need it. I shall see you in the next video.